Today, I'd like to address a huge question or topic about the inner child healing that I have mapped out. And that is divinity, how the inner child is related to the issue of the divine, and how, through what work I do with clients and students, that is the ultimate goal. My last spiritual teacher, Miranda McPherson, said something that stuck in my mind, and that is the goal of spiritual practice is the undefended heart. To me, the undefended heart is the goal also of inner child healing. And what do I mean by that? I want to also bring in the wisdom of Marianne Williamson, which I've already quoted before. And that is, she said that we come as love, but we learn fear. So our journey is to unlearn fear back to love. And that is the journey of a soul on this planet. So, with all of this together, let me talk about the how I see when a young child is wounded, trauma parts are created. This slowly builds a wall around the heart because the pain of having your heart broken when your needs weren't met, when you cried and looked for someone to ease your discomfort, feed you, hold you, change you. When your needs were not met at a particular time, when it hurt you, or when your needs were inconsistently met, if at all, you were hurt. And that created one wall, brick of the wall. And then when you have enough traumas, you have this wall around your heart because the intent is never to hurt that way again. These are the trauma parts that defend you. Remember that when you're wounded in childhood, trauma parts are created to make sure that you survive. And if you're listening to me now, you know you've survived. But you also know that you want more than survival. And if you have tried to break out of the limited beliefs and strategies that you can see others have pointed out to you, but still find yourself stuck, kind of like in a gerbil wheel, doing the same thing, believing the same thing, no matter how many affirmations you try, no matter how much therapy, counseling that you've tried. And the reason that it's so difficult to dissolve this wall around your heart is because so much of it is in your subconscious. My talk or description of the subconscious goes something like this. Right now, you are only aware of 5% of what is influencing you, what is happening to you, how you think, you see, you react, everything is because 95% is in your subconscious, unavailable to your conscious mind. what you can hear me say and you're conscious of, that is because what is in your programming, subconscious programming, allows that amount to come in. But if you have resistance, habits of denial, or not paying full attention, any of that can interfere with what you take in and how it affects you. And therefore, to move toward any kind of wholeness or a better life, not being lost and confused, you need the help of the subconscious, which is what we have with MAP, Make Anything Possible, where we train your subconscious to become super conscious so that you can neutralize and release the pains of the traumas that you've experienced. When you've done enough healing by learning to stay with your emotions that lead you to the inner child, by attending to what beliefs run you, what patterns you you live by, when you become more and more aware, you can treat it. You can have the superconscious treat the pain, the trauma, the beliefs, the strategies, and slowly remove, brick by brick, the wall around your heart. Now, when you have enough of that cleared, you have connection with your heart. And in your heart is your inner wisdom. And your inner wisdom comes from the divine. In your heart, in your undefended heart, you are connected to the spirit that you are, not the human having a spiritual experience, but the spirit that you are, so that you can connect the spirit with a capital S or the divine that is in your heart. And that's why I believe that MAP work in healing trauma parts is essential for all spiritual practitioners who are likely to deny, bury any negative experiences and distress because they're supposed to be at peace. So they create equanimity as consciously as they can without taking care of the baggage that human beings have, the many, many, many fears that we learned. And this is why I see the goal of doing inner child healing as a way of moving toward the divine. You move toward the sacred place in your heart, or you move to connect spirit with a capital S. Now, the other thread I want to describe briefly is that when you're hurt very, very young, your needs are to feel connected to someone who will care, watch for you, love you. And when those needs aren't met, every human being is driven to find that love. And however the inner child decides, gains the strategies how to gain that love, that is a basic motivation. a love that will keep you safe, a love that is constant, a love that will fulfill. But we don't know it as a way of moving into our undefended heart. We rather pick up strategies like overachieving, perfectionism, self-reliance, conflict avoidance, emotional avoidance, all of these patterns that keep us from the divine, who is love. So one way of putting it is that we're set up to look for love, but we look for love in human places, as if human beings or our achievements, money in the bank, all that will fill the hole in the heart that is about being connected to love with a capital L. And that is why being alone is such a motivation to be connected to some being, some force that is never going to leave. And from my voice of awakening, which is coming from the book series, One with God, the voice has said, I am here. I'm always here. I've never left. So when you believe I am alone, it's a lie, as many of the beliefs in the trauma parts. So I hope this makes sense. In summary, I am saying that the ultimate goal of inner child healing is to dissolve the walls around your heart so that you have access to your inner wisdom or spirit or love with the capital L. And I am so enthusiastic because this is the way I am connected to the divine. And no matter what goes on in the world, however tripped up I get to being lost and confused, if I just remember that I am love. The other piece, forgot, is that when we train your subconscious to become super conscious, the super is to indicate that it is a divine part of you. So when you work enough with superconscious, you walk with spirit. And the more you become accustomed to not being alone because you always have spirit, superconscious with you, the more at peace you are. You are connected in the way that the child forgot. So please comment below, ask a question, and thank you for paying attention.